Hey, what's going on there, everybody? My name is Mangg, and a little while back, out of curiosity and praise, I guess, I picked up the core set for the Star Wars X-Wing miniatures game. And shortly thereafter, I picked up additional miniatures because this game is freaking awesome, and especially so if you're a fan of Star Wars, because when you're playing this game you just feel like you're in there, you know, you're in that X-Wing, you're in that TIE fighter, and it's tense, it's real tense. And so recently my good buddy Ziggy and I recorded a skirmish that we had. And so I'm going to do kind of a time-lapse thing so you can see kind of how it plays out, and I'll do commentary over it and stuff like that. But before we get into that, I figured I'd give kind of an overview of the basic rules. Now, when you get the core set for the X-Wing miniatures game, you get the rules of play. So you get the standard rule set, but then you also get these quick start rules, which are recommended for your first game. And I'll talk a little bit about the differences between the two, but know that we played this skirmish using the quick start rule, so that's what I'm going to talk about. So it's really going to be basic stuff. The standard rules of play are a bit more expansive, and I'll talk about the differences. But let's go over the basics. Okay, hey there, we got a better view now of what's going on, and so let's go over the basics. Most basic thing you have is your ships. Now, I don't know how good it's going to show up on the camera, but I'm really in love with how these miniatures look. They come pre-painted, there's some excellent detail going on in each one, just fantastic. Again, I don't know how well it's going to show up, but you know, there's an X-Wing, I got, here's an A-Wing, there you go. Cute little ship. We got, of course, the standard TIE fighter. You know, kind of boring, bland, very communist, you might say. But then you also get the kind of cool TIE interceptors and shit like that. And there's a lot of ships so far, and there's more coming. Really, all I have on my wish list right now is the Millennium Falcon. That's all I want, and it's out of print for some reason. But that's besides the point. Okay, so you have your ships. And one player, or multiple players, if that's how you want to do it, is going to play the Rebel side, and one or more is going to be playing the Empire. And how it works is, say you have an X-Wing. It's always going to be an X-Wing, but it might have different abilities based on who's piloting it. Because a rookie pilot is a lot different than Luke Skywalker or Wedge or something, you know. And so you tell the different abilities based on these cards. And so let me just find, you know, somebody cool. Alright, here's Luke. So here's Luke's card. Alright. And yeah, you know, it's an X-Wing. You can tell it's an X-Wing. There's a symbol designating it as so, and there's the name. It's all good. And so all the X-Wings have the same stats, I believe, unless I'm dumb. But in my experience, they all have the same stats. Because it's, you know, the pilot doesn't really change the ship's, you know, capabilities. So for an X-Wing, it's always going to have 3 attack, 2 agility, 3 armor, and 2 shields. No matter who's piloting it. So what that means is basically whenever the X-Wing attacks, it gets to roll 3 red dice. Whenever it evades, it rolls 2 green dice. It has 2 shields, which means it can take 2 hits before its shield goes away, and 3 armor, so it takes 3 hits to the armor before it explodes. Pretty simple. Now, as far as the simple rules go, then, we ignore almost everything else on these cards. The only other number we really care about is this number in the upper right. For Luke Skywalker, it is an 8. And that determines his order in the moving and attacking, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Everything else is kind of more for the advanced stuff. There is one more thing that we looked at for this skirmish, and that is the number in the bottom right. For Luke, that number is a 28. And that is, I don't know what they call it officially. That's kind of the drafting points. So this determines, okay, so for Luke, you know, it's a 28, but for a rookie pilot, it's a 21. Because, you know, you obviously you want Luke instead of a rookie pilot, but you can't have your cake and eat it too all the time. You can't just send a fleet of everything best, unless that's what you're doing. So what you do, apparently, is you set a number for both teams. And that number might be 75, 100, 200, whatever it might be. And so when drafting then, when picking which pilots and which ships to send in for their fleet, they can only go up to that number. So Luke is a better pilot, but he costs 28 points for your team instead of the 21 for the rookie. Now you still get an X-Wing either way, but it's the extra capabilities that might determine if you want the extra points. And so for the skirmish that you're going to be watching in a little bit, we set the point value at 75. Now, Ziggy didn't really understand the point drafting system, so he went over a little bit. I hit 75 exactly because I understand everything in life. Okay. So, once you've picked your ships and whatnot, you're going to take, let's see, you get these little cardboard cutout things. And each one of these shows a little symbol for what ship it is, and the basic stats, and the name and whatnot. And what these do is you're going to pop off the top of the Mini. You place this on top of the little plastic piece. You put the Mini back on, and now you can tell the stats and whatnot just by looking at the miniature itself. So you know that this A-Wing is a Gemmer Sojourn A-Wing. So if you have multiple X-Wings that have multiple different pilots, this is a good way to differentiate them. It's very important. Okay. And once you have all your minis, and they all have their little cardboard pieces and everything's set up, they also each get a maneuver dial, which looks like this. Really, it's just two pieces of cardboard and a little plastic piece in the middle. And this is how you plan out your moves every turn. This is probably going to be pretty hard to see, but each maneuver dial kind of rotates like so, and it shows an arrow in some direction and a number. And so what you do is you're going to sit there and you're going to have all your maneuver dials. You're going to pick them up one at a time, however you want to do it, and you're going to look at the board and you're going to be like, what maneuver is best for Luke in this situation, blah, blah, blah. And you might think, oh, he's going to go 4 forward. Okay, so the number 4 and a straight arrow. And then you're going to take that maneuver dial and you're going to put it face down next to that Mini. So your opponent doesn't know what maneuver you're planning on using, see? So it's kind of just like, it's programmed movement, and you don't know what they're going to do, so you got to kind of plan. You got to think of all the options available to them and what they are probably going to do, and you want to plan around it, but then, you know, it's complicated. That's where a lot of the tension comes from. And what these maneuvers symbolize on each of these dials is these little cardboard lengthy pieces. So if I wanted a 4 forward, this is a 4 forward piece. Okay, and here's where kind of the novelty, I guess, of a miniatures game comes in. Because there's no grid, you know. There's no, I mean, the table that you're looking at has a grid painted onto it, but we don't use that. You don't use that for a miniatures game. It's not D&D. It's all kind of very abstract and free-flowing. And so I don't know if you're going to really be able to see what's going on here. We'll see. Let's say here's Luke. He wants to move 4 forward. You'd line up the little cardboard length piece like so. Again, I don't know if you can tell. Hopefully you can. You hold this down. You put Luke then at the front of it, and you attach it. You know, you line it up with the back end of Luke, and then you move this away, and boom, he has moved 4 forward. It's weird, I know, and this is originally what turned me off of miniatures games in general, because it just seemed too fiddly, too free-flowing for my taste. I like some structure, but no, it's brilliant. It really is. It's awesome. You feel like a freaking general, you know, in movies, like when they're moving little pieces around on a big map and stuff like that. That's what you feel like. Except it's X-Wings, and yes. Okay. So, you go through, and each team, you're going to go through these in ascending order. And that's where that big orange number comes into play. So you can see Obsidian Squadron Pilot has a 3 there in orange. Academy Pilot, he's got a 1. See? And Luke, you saw, had an 8. There's 6. I think 9 is the highest so far in the game. And that would be Wedge, because he's the best. And so it goes in ascending order. So whoever, any of the miniatures on the board that have a 1, they get to move first. And then it goes up and up and up and up. And if there are any ties, generally the Empire side gets to go first because communism, I don't know. And, yeah, so, you know, there's sometimes where it really matters who moves first, you know, if you're going to bump into each other or overlap or something like that, you know, it makes a big deal who's going to move first. So Luke moves pretty much last as far as, you know, the base game goes. But after all the movement is done, you go to the attack phase. And there, it goes in descending order. So our good buddy Luke, who is a little bit slow on the throttle, he's quick on the trigger. So he gets to shoot first, and then it goes descending order down to the basic rookie, whatever it is, TIE fighter who shoots last. And so there's a situation in the skirmish that you're going to be watching in which Luke goes face-to-face up against a TIE fighter and blows him out of the sky before he even has a chance to do anything. It's quite beautiful. And so, again, attacking is done by the red dice as the attacker. So again, X-Wings get 3 based on their stats. And the defender rolls the green dice. So an X-Wing would roll 2, a TIE fighter gets to roll 3. And so you just roll those up. And for the attacker, at least as far as the basic rules go, you're looking for these little kind of asterisk symbols. Those are attacks. There are also little eye tokens on there, but those don't do anything. And there's also blank sides. Those don't do anything. So you're really just looking for the asterisks. So Luke here got 2 attacks, or 2 hits, I guess you'd say. For the defender, for his agility roll, I actually got a perfect lineup here. You have blanks, which don't do anything. They don't help you. You have the eye token, which doesn't do anything for you. And then you kind of have this little evasion symbol. It's like a road sign or something. You can maybe see that. That's an evade, which means you ignore one of the hits. So in this exchange, Luke would have gotten 1 hit. And so again, for the simple rules, you just take one of these damage cards, and you would just place it face down next to whatever the miniature's card is, signifying they've been hit. Pretty simple. In the regular game, full game, they each have different effects for what damage has been done. So sometimes it's a direct hit, sometimes, you know, your wing has been hit, or all sorts of fun stuff. And if you take a number of hits equal to your shields plus armor, you blow up. So for a TIE fighter, they don't have shields, because they're shit. Communism, remember? So they only have 3 armor. They take 3 hits, boom, dead. Luke, he takes 5 hits, boom, dead. That's pretty much it. Then after you do the attack phase, you go back through to the maneuver phase, and on and on and on until everybody's blown up. And that's pretty much it for the simple quick start rules. There's also asteroids. Here's another cool thing about playing a miniatures game. Here's just a cardboard picture of an asteroid. But you just toss this onto the game board at the start before you play, and there's a bunch of them. And I have 2 core sets, so I even have more asteroids. And you could use anything. You could use, you know, a water bottle or a piece of shit, whatever. And suddenly, boom, it's an obstacle. It modifies the field. It changes everything, you know. You can use it for cover. You can swing around it and do extra, you know, it's really incredible. That's all I'm trying to say. And so that's basically it for basic rules. So the standard rules, the main rules, they add things such as, again, using the actual damage cards. They use each card's special ability. So for Luke's special ability, he can, when he's defending, he can change one of his little eye results into an evasion result, which is pretty damn good. You can use upgrades. So there are a whole bunch of little upgrade cards. And each of these has a point value. So these add on to your drafting points. So most of them are small, 3, 2, 4, stuff like that. So they don't change much, but they let you customize your stuff. So you might give proton rockets to, you know, a TIE fighter. I don't know if that's actually possible. I haven't played with the standard rules, but you can get, you know, different ships have their own special upgrades or titles, really. So this is an A-Wing test pilot, which is for A-Wing only, and there's also, let's see, a targeting computer, a hull upgrade, shield upgrade, fletchet torpedoes, an astromech. You know, you can get R7T1, advanced sensors, all sorts of stuff that lets you modify your ships. I'm really excited to play with the standard rules because you can do that. And let's see, is that it for standard rule changes? That's all the major stuff, I think. Oh, there's also actions then. Like, what is the I token actually for? You on your turn for every miniature, you can take an action. So you can do stuff like focusing on evading or focusing on focusing. You can do barrel rolls. You can get target locks, which help you when you're attacking something. Some ships get their own special actions. Yes! Awesome! And so I'm not sure how good of a feel you're going to get from the time-lapse video with my commentary going and stuff like that. It's something you really just have to try out and play. And so if you know somebody and you yourself are interested in Star Wars and not afraid to get in with a miniatures game and try it out, I highly recommend picking up a core set. Although you're probably going to be spending a lot more money than that in the long run because it is very addictive to buy new ships. I mean, look at this freaking B-Wing. Look at this thing. It's cool. I don't even like B-Wings, but it's cool. Yeah, I recommend the game. Alright, so let's go to the skirmish itself, and I'll explain what the hell is going on in that, and it should be exciting. Alright, so this is going to go by pretty quickly. This is 800% speed, but I'll do my best to kind of explain what I remember is going on, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Alright, so on my side, I was playing the Rebels. The Rebel side is kind of expensive. The Empire side has a lot of cheap, mass-produced shit. You know, TIE fighters are cheap. Like 11, 12 points or something like that if you want the cheap stuff. Meanwhile, the basic X-Wing, the cheapest X-Wing is 21 points. You know, it's a lot more expensive. We only went to 75. So I went with 2 X-Wings and 1 A-Wing. I had a rookie pilot in an X-Wing, and I had Luke in there. I wanted Luke in there to have some kind of beefiness. And then the A-Wing, I went with a pretty good one. So I had 3 ships against his 5, I believe. So I'm definitely outnumbered, but I have the better technology, and I'm hopefully have the better firepower, but we'll see how it goes. All right, so the beginning of the match, we used my big table, and we kind of just used the whole thing for the most part. We cut off about a third of it, maybe a fourth of it. That's those 2 dice you see near the bottom of the screen. That's the edge of space. And so if you go off the table or through the edge of space or whatever, you just blow up. You're done. And so the beginning and part of this is just us kind of moving forward, you know, us getting into range of each other. And so I wanted to have Luke. Luke is towards the bottom of your screen, the lower left X-Wing there. I wanted him to kind of break right, to kind of swoop in from the side and flank him and just blow everything up. I got the A-Wing going straight down the middle. He's pretty much the fastest thing on the board. So I thought maybe I could just get right in the heart of them and outmaneuver them. And then I have the X-Wing and on the far north over there, who I dubbed Porkins because he's the rookie pilot here. And I don't know what my plan was for Porkins. Just send him in there and hope he can blow up something. And so Porkins there immediately got into combat with the Royal Imperial Guard or something like that, which I think was Ziggy's best ship. So that was not a great match for Porkins. And there's also another TIE fighter over there, so he kind of spends most of the skirmish dealing with those 2, which is not good. So Luke we have over here at the bottom. He's going up against this TIE fighter right down there. It was pretty much going to be like a head-to-head thing. I knew it was going to be. And I wasn't concerned because Luke in an X-Wing, he can take care of a single rookie TIE fighter. And so what ended up happening was, if I remember correctly, this is where we both did the kind of forward flip move, where you move forward, but then you rotate your ship by 180 degrees. And so this is us kind of maneuvering around. And so we're in each other's faces. And so that is where I rolled 3 attacks and he rolled 0 evades. So I one-shot his TIE fighter. And I was like, all right, I think this is going to go pretty well for the Rebels. That was a huge blow, because that was like the first... I don't know if it was the first hit, because I think Porkins took a couple damage right away, but it was big. So I was really pumped after that. But now I needed Luke. I needed Luke to swoop in there, head to the right, get into the main skirmish, because Jake Farrell, who was piloting my A-Wing, he was in a bit of a mess. He's got, I think, 2 TIE fighters, or a TIE Interceptor and a TIE fighter right on him. And A-Wings are not really meant for firepower. They are more for speed and maneuverability. So eventually I was going to get outgunned. But then I've also got Porkins over there in the far reaches to worry about. He is just going to get outgunned. He can't compete, really. And the dice are not incredibly in my favor after that one-shot blow-up. Things started to go a little bit downhill. So we have asteroids spread out across the battlefield space. And you can't... Well, you can shoot through asteroids, but the defender gets an extra dice. And if you land on an asteroid with your maneuver, you can't attack that round. And if you move through an asteroid, you risk taking some damage. So asteroids are kind of, again, they kind of just mix up the thing. And I really like that feature. Okay, so the A-Wing, again, I just kind of kept wanting him to outmaneuver the TIE fighters, but it's not as easy as it sounds. I mean, yeah, he's the most maneuverable, but when they have multiple things, they can just kind of outflank you with that. So I was really hoping Luke would swoop in now from the side and just gun him down, and it didn't really happen. The dice did not favor Luke after that one big explosion. He got cocky, is what I would say, and that didn't help. So you're actually going to see kind of a split here with a bit of change in the clothing. We didn't just change for the sake of the video. This is actually the next day. We had to pick up the thing. And so you can just see right there in the middle, there's just the clusterfuck is the best word for it. Porkins is off to the side just getting massacred. I don't know if you can tell in the kind of upper left where there's 4 damage cards. That's next to Porkins. He's not doing great. He's got 1 health left. I've pretty much given up on him. I'm hoping he can maybe do a couple points of damage before he dies, but it's not looking good for Porkins. I don't think he can hold it. And the A-Wing is at, I think, 3 out of 4 health as well, or 3 out of 5, something like that. He's definitely injured. Luke is untouched, so I'm really hoping. I'm basically like, okay, Luke's gonna have to save the day, because now Porkins is dead, the A-Wing's done. It's just Luke against, I think, 4 TIE ships, and so yeah, I'm nervous because I know Luke is capable, but he's still just an X-Wing, and there's still simple rules. If I was using the if we were using the regular rules, Luke would have a much better chance. But right now, he's not that much different than Porkins. It's just when he gets to attack is really all that's different. So here's me. Like, you can see like 3 ships on my ass, or 2 ships on my ass, 2 in front of me. I'm getting just spit roasted, you might say, if I can use a term. And so I'm trying to just maybe swoop out of there and use my speed and then turn around and maybe blast one. But you can only attack once per turn with any ship. So there's no way I can just blast a trench through all of them. It's just going to be, I hope my evade holds up. But the X-Wing is not great at evading. He only gets the 2 dice. So I was hoping maybe to use the asteroids to my advantage, but yeah, that didn't really work. So at this point, yeah, it's not looking great for the Rebel side. I think the Empire might have it. But you got to hold out hope. But the shitty thing is, I have 1 maneuver dial to handle every turn. He has 4. So he's doing all this contemplating. I'm just kind of walking around muttering about how screwed I am. It's kind of depressing. We're trying, I guess that's probably the weakest part of a miniatures game, is lining everything up. You have to actually get in there and look with your eyes and see if something lines up properly. And that's really an experience unlike anything else I've ever played. It's really unique. I don't especially mind it. It's really unique and new. So again, just clusterfuck going on there, as I have 4 ships on Luke's ass. So I move forward, and I do a swoop around, and I think I actually do some damage to a ship, the Royal Guard. I think I hurt, but then, boom, I'm done, and it's over.